Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. I'm one half of the DungeonsFlag.com team, and we're back in the Monster Manual 3.5 making the Shrieker and Violet Fungus under the Fungus entry. And the reason we're doing both, and I usually just do one, is because these things actually work in tandem, and to have one without the other would not be ideal. I found some hot glue stuck to my Monster Manual. That's okay. So basically, the Shriekers are unintelligent plants that, if you get within 10 feet of them, or whatever it is, they make a shrieking noise, warning the other things in the area that they're there. And then the violet funguses, which for years I actually thought they were called violent funguses, but the violet excuse my French, the violent fungi, then move in to attack and fight. So they're both human-sized mushrooms, except for the violet fungus has tendrils to walk and tentacles to grab. So let's get started on those. I think I might have a couple ideas here. I guess we'll need some bases since we're making 3. We're going to make 2 shriekers and 1 violet fungus. And we're going to need something to use for, about yarn. Something to use for the tendrils. I have some yarn here. We could probably use that. Good thing I had that sitting there because I was going to use a bunch of little wires and that would be a pain in the butt. Alright. So, for this part of it, I think it's pretty easy. We can handle that pretty quick. Let's get some of this yarn a little longer than we need it to be. Okay. And let's get a piece of cardstock or foam or something. I think I'm just going to use cardstock because it's easy to get. And all I'm doing is cutting a piece big enough to work with. And I'm going to get all these little doobly boobs and shove them in here like that to where they're sticking out the bottom a little bit. Here, we use these two. Okay, and then we're just going to roll that around. Oops, it wasn't that hot, it's okay. And then we're going to make sure we have a good bond. We're going to roll that shut into a kind of a round shape. Okay, and then we're going to take off the bottom like that. We're going to squirt some glue down the hole in the top. And we're going to snip the top off. About like that. I'm just going to get a little more glue in there. Just to make sure that everything stays where I want it. Okay, set that off to the side. Now we're going to need some stems for the 2, and we're going to need some bases. So let's get some pill bottles here. Now, I know a lot of you don't use pill bottles, but I have arthritis in my hands. And as I'm getting older, I have trouble holding on to stuff. So I've been using pill bottles for a couple years here to make my life a little easier. And you can do the same if you need to. So let's get our baking soda. And some super glue. Something like that. Then two, and 3. Now, I have not used fungus under normal circumstances in a campaign for many, many years. And the reason being is because there's myconids and all kind of interesting fungi-based races and stuff that you can use. That doesn't mean you can't use them, but if you're going to use them, always make them as kind of like a guard dog of something else. Like, these things build their house near these because they're a good warning thing. You know, these creatures live in this cave because the shriekers and the violet fungi, you know, help them in some way. Always make like a symbiotic kind of deal. All right, so now what we want to do is, since this is just smooth on the outside, let's give this some texture. And we're just going to do that. Wait, it's probably better to not do that yet. All right, time out. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's get this thing on the base before we get stupid with texture. So, get something that has a sharp point and open up some of these yarns tips. Okay. And spread those out a little bit. After you get them opened up some. Okay. Then my plan is to just use super glue to mount those. And I don't care if he's standing straight up and down, honestly. If you want yours standing exactly straight up and down, that'll be fine, I'm sure. I'd like mine to be a little, I don't know, a little wonky, like he's on the move. And we'll set that off to the side and let that dry. I'll actually set it in front of my fan, and we'll come back to that later. Alright, so for the body of these guys, it can be a lot easier. I have some pieces of tinfoil laying around. So for my shrieker bodies, I'm just going to simply mush these into a mushroom-esque shape with a flat bottom. I'm going to put a dab of glue. And I'm going to put those just a little off-center on the bases. And that's for my benefit. It doesn't have to be off-center. That's just how I want mine to be. Okay. I'm just mushing these up too. I'm mushing this one up too to be my other base. This is just like a fungus stock. It's nothing too fancy. We can all make that real easy. And this one's a little more centered. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to drag that around and sturdy that up. And see how there's a little crack there? I'm just going to fill that in. Okay. Oops, that's a lot. Oh well. For all that, we didn't even need to put a baking soda on the base of the mess I just made. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the tops of our mushrooms. If you have a knife, do I have a knife? Are you a knife? Yeah. If you have a knife or a cutting board or something like that, this will make this step super easy for you. So what I'm just going to do is just come around and fill up the outside and then fill up the inside. Make a line around the outside, just like if you were filling in a cookie. You know, you go around the outside with your icing, and you fill in your inside and let it drip over. I'm just going to let it drip over my mushroom edges. Okay. Come back and do a little more. Just kind of make sure it's taller in the center. If it's hot enough. Hold on, I need another glue stick. Somebody fraudulented, or whatever, you made a fraudulent purchase on both mine and Mrs. Doom's cards to my mini factory for the exact same value of like $87 or something like that. I'm not sure why or how that happened, but both of our cards are canceled at the moment, so we have to carry a ton of cash around to do things, and it's super frustrating. Okay. Alright, we're going to let this sit off to the side now. Whoa. I feel like I need a little more around the edge over here. Okay. And you just add them where you need it, but I kind of saw my deficiency there. Luckily, I saw it early on. Okay. We're just going to set that off to the side on top of these scissors to keep it level. All right. Let's grab our myconid body, or our violet fungus body. And it's looking pretty sturdy and good now. What we're going to do is add some texture all around here with the glue. And we're just going all around the outside, around the outside. Then I want to get a little kind of circle around the very bottom, but I don't want to bring that in with the rest of that, okay? So I'm just going to let that sit for a minute. Let's come back and look at these. Okay, I think we got those how we kind of want those. I'm not really sure. I'd like to flatten out my top a little bit, because that other mushroom piece is going to be sitting on here, and we want it to sit and get a good contact. So get a little bit of glue in place now to hold that, and then come back around and try to match the texture that you did on the violet body. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. Just get some of that kind of up and down stuff going. So this isn't perfectly smooth. I'm going to put a couple deeper ones in there by holding the gun on there for a second longer too. That way when we go to paint it has a little more wow. A little more of that je ne sais quoi. I'm going to come back and just double check this guy. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Now let's see where we're at on our tops. They're not quite dry. I'm going to set those in the front of the fan. And let's take a look at what we got going on here. So, if you look at the picture here, we've done that with the yarn down here. And we need those tentacles that are going to come out from under that cap. So, let's grab our cardstock and a knife. And figure out about how long we want those to be. Let's make a couple of those and see how they look. So let's just twist these and warp these a little bit. And find a good length for them. And then grab the top of this guy and just put a dab of glue up there. And get those in place. Okay. Let's get our spider web removal tool. Take care of those. And then let's get them kind of bent down to how we want them to look. And twist them some, curl them up some. Okay. And let's just, well, let's come back and do that super glue on those in a little bit here. Alright, so our mushroom tops should be ready. Okay, they're not going to be able to come off like I'd wanted them to. So what we're going to have to do is after we get those in place, we're going to have to come back and round out the edges some and use the sides of the mushroom with it, okay? And that's not what I had planned on doing, but that's okay too. For some reason, I believe that this glue was just going to peel right off these buttons. I wanted them to have a concave bottom, but these buttons have a concave bottom, so we'll make that work. Alright, something like that to get us started. And like I said, due to my poor planning, our buttons are a problem. So now we got to kind of work those into the model somehow. So I'm going to grab a new fresh glue stick and pop it in my gun. And what I want to do is I want to kind of figure out how to work that in with that existing. Heard something funny, and I talk about it sometimes, but I've heard my generation referred to as feral because we played outside and, you know, drank from the hose and all that stuff. I just think that's a trip, man. That's a trip. Feral, huh? Yeah, I guess. Maybe we were. You know, but, you know, you didn't know about stuff. Like, there wasn't social media. There wasn't Facebook. There wasn't YouTube, you know, no TikTok or Twitter or anything. You know, you didn't know stuff. Like, you didn't know how many child rapists were running around. You didn't know anything. So our parents just let us kind of run loose because the stuff wasn't out there. It wasn't a threat. There was no big stories about it, and the world wasn't obsessing over the dangers. So what we just did is we played. And the street lights were kind of our bedtime to go inside kind of deal. You know. We also owned watches, which were this weird thing that you would wear on your wrist so you knew what time it was because we didn't have phones. And actually still own some watches, but I don't wear them really often because they make me feel like a dinosaur. No, that's not why. It's because I just got a phone. Why carry a watch, you know? How many timekeepers do I need to keep on me? And the phone automatically changes time zones for me as I'm traveling, so it's just far more convenient, honestly. Okay. Let's look at these. See what we got. Now we've mostly hidden that button. I think that's kind of what we want to go for there. Let's strengthen up those tendrils a little bit. Okay. And the top's pretty rounded off, I think. We'll know when we get to start painting them. We'll see for real. Like this one has a bad lump. We don't want that lump there. So let's try to get rid of that. See that? Just use that and get rid of the lump. Cool. I think we got that one pretty good. All right. Let's put our glue away. Wipe off our counter so I don't get it all over me, because I tend to stick myself to stuff. Put our knife back in the chop block. All right, almost done. Cleaning up my giant mess. There's like the longest spider web going on over here. It's like 30 foot long. I thought I was under attack. All right, so let's look at the book. That's what the violet fungi are they're gonna look like that. And we made one of those. We need to hit them with the spider web removal tool again, but something like that. And then they don't show the shriekers, okay, but they're about like that. And it says they're human size, so I do have like one of the WizKids minis to kind of hold the scale there. All right, so anyways, thanks for watching. If you like what we're doing here, please hit like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell icon, comment. I guess that helps a lot. So I've had some comments lately. We're getting really close to 300 subscribers, which I know to many of you is no big deal. But when I started this channel, I really thought no one was going to watch it. So to me, it is actually a big deal. So, please do some of that stuff. Hey, come to the website. Maybe buy some minis if you like them. If you don't, then don't. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.